Hey guys, it's Odette Blacklock here. I am a sports podiatrist from Sydney and I broke my ankle 6 weeks ago, and I really wanted to discuss my experience with it because we can give a lot of stuff out via our learning from textbooks, but when it happens to yourself, it's a totally different experience, and I want to also help a lot of patients or clients going through the same thing. So I wanted to kind of discuss what I did from the beginning up until this 6 week mark, and then I want to do a few more videos of my rehabilitation going forward. My injury, there's a lot of different ankle injuries that people can acquire. Mine is a Weber B fracture. So a lot of fractures are treated similarly, but depending on the complications, there's certain range of motions that you want to avoid, or you know, different specifications throughout your rehab plan. But looking at my injury, I fractured my lateral ankle, which is very common, but a Weber B fracture is less common. So what it is a fracture of your fibula, but it's through external rotation. So I've injured all of the ligaments around here, but also on the lateral side. But the worst part about it is that your syndesmosis ligament, which holds these two bones together, gets torn, or mine is torn, and that's what takes a long time to heal and may need surgery. So it's not a complicated fracture, it is closed and it is aligned, but the syndesmosis ligament helps to keep the ankle stable. So if that's not working or it's completely torn, then you're going to need surgery. So let's look at from the beginning. I injured it. If you do injure your ankle, go to hospital. Because I'm a podiatrist, I didn't go to hospital, but I knew it was non-weight bearing straight away. So I got crutches. I did the RISA, so if anyone's done first aid, you know it's rest, ice, compression, elevation, referral. So rest, for a fracture, it's completely non-weight bearing. You want to get yourself some crutches straight away. I purchased a boot, which I couldn't get into. I needed about a week before the swelling went down, but you want to need a boot or you'll get put into a cast if you go to hospital. So non-weight bearing, that's rest, ice, so RISA, R-I-C-E, ice. So the ice helps to really bring down the inflammation. You're going to need to ice once an hour, once every 2 hours, and do it for 20 minutes. Make sure you put something in between the skin and the ice so you're not going to give yourself an extra injury, and don't leave it there for too long so you don't get hyperemia, which is also, you know, it's injuring the blood vessels. So you want to leave it there for 20 minutes, take it off, and then pop it on again another 2 hours later, and continue to do that, because the swelling is what's going to make this injury worse. So we need to elevate, which is the next one, ice, elevate, and get rid of that swelling. So RISA, rest, ice, elevation, and then R is referral. So I referred myself straight away to my friend who's a radiographer, and I said I need an x-ray and I need an ultrasound. You might want to get an MRI if you got some extra cash, because that's going to be the most specific of them all. But kind of wait till the swelling goes down anyway before you pay for that. Otherwise, x-ray, ultrasound is free if you have a referral from your doctor. Okay, and so if you can weight bear, you're going to get the most specific indication of where what your joints are doing. But if it's broken, they're usually not going to do a weight bearing one, and they'll look at it from the front, the side, and have a look at the alignment of everything. Then you're going to do an ultrasound, which looks at the soft tissue, so the ligaments and tendons. That's less specific, so it's not always accurate, but I'll just show you what you'd probably be looking at. Can you see this? I found my old poster from my clinic. So here you can see those ligaments. They're the ones that they'll be having a look at there, and you can see here, so that's a break similar to what I did, and those ligaments were definitely impacted. So yeah, you got a few different things going on. So rest, isolation, elevation, referral. Okay, so once they know what's going on, with my fracture, Weber B, wasn't just the fibula, it was the ligament, and if the separation of these bones were more than 2 millimeters, so if you have a Weber B, if they're more than 2 millimeters, they're going to want to operate. They will put a plate and some screws through there to hold those two bones together. Either way, you're going to be then in a boot for 6 to 8 weeks, right? So this is the boot I got. It's an air cast, and what, put this little thing over the top, you strap it all in, and then the air, you can pump air into it so it's compressing the injury. So the compression again takes away the inflammation, blah, 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 but it's quite painful for a lot of people, so I just choose not to pump it up, and I use a compressive bandage, which is much more comfortable, and I keep that on under my boot all the time. So other things I've been using, so that was pretty much me for the first few weeks, that inflammation, all the blood that had pooled in my toes and around the bottom of my foot. So your body just has to get rid of that. So good diet, making sure you drink a lot of water, that type of thing, elevate the foot, massage, a little bit of massage, not anything that's going to hurt you, is important to just help that area heal. When I don't have my boot on to secure and support my foot, I just use this, another air cast product. I'm not sponsored by them, so just find what works for you. So it just helps to hold those two bones together, okay, and just help me feel a bit more secure in my ankle, but that's specific to my injury. I also use cryotherapy. So when you use cryotherapy, it just means cold therapy, and again, every 2 hours is important to make sure that we're getting that cold therapy on there. And I bought this ankle cuff, and it comes with this thing here. It's called a cryo cuff. So you pop that on your ankle, you attach it to the hose here, and then you fill this up with cold water and ice. And basically it uses, gravity to fill this up with the cold water once this is above the cuff, and then you pop the cuff above the this thing here, and it refills, and then you can fill it back up with cold water next time you need it. So it's great because it gets the whole ankle, and as well because my ankle was sprained on the inside and the outside, it gets everything in one go, where ice packs are a bit of a pain. But you don't need to spend the extra money on it if you don't want to, or you couldn't be bothered. It is a bit of a laborious exercise, so do what you feel. But that's also available now that it's 6 weeks in. So yeah, I went Christmas holidays with that damn boot and the crutches, but it was great getting through the airport. Oh my goodness. I made my son put me in a wheelchair, and we just went straight to the front of the line, and we didn't have to wait. That was pretty cool. So maybe I'll keep my boot for some further kind of events that might serve me. Even on New Year's, we got through the barricades. I was running late to my friend's party, and they'd closed off all the roads, and I'm like, hey, I gotta get to a party, and I got a broken ankle. Had my boot on, and they're like, oh, you got a broken ankle? All right, go through. So yeah, it's come in handy a couple of times, which is pretty cool. But no, you shouldn't really. Well, you can milk it a little bit, just a little bit, all right? Because there's got to be some upside to like breaking your ankle. Because there's other things that have happened that some days are really hard. I'm not gonna lie. I've tried to remain optimistic and positive, and I have for most of it. But like looking at my job, I'm going to have to find new work, and financially it's put a lot of strain on me. So all of those factors come into play. And today I was walking home. I tried to go to the gym, which was silly, just to try and get back in the swing of things. I wasn't lifting heavy or anything, but on the way home, they blocked off another side of the road, and then I had to, double back, and then I had to go down this large thing of stairs, and I hit my foot in a weird way, and it just caused a lot of pain, and I just sat on the step and almost cried. And then I got up and went home, and now I'm making this video. So all is good. Anyway, sorry, just deviated a little more. I've been wearing this though. This is just an ankle support, and it feels quite good now. I'm trying to wean myself off the boot, so I'm using this. Now's the time for me to start rehabbing. There's a lot of scar tissue. You need to get in there, massage the scar tissue, get it out. Again, elevation after you massage it. Try and get all of the breakup of tissue, get it out of your body, get it through the lymph system and out of the body. So massage, really important for scar tissue, because we don't want that ankle to kind of freeze up, and we don't want any arthritis to kind of take place, because then your ankle's going to be stuck for good and it's going to be long-term pain. So now I'm really focusing on good joint range of motion, and that's range of motion, passive, active, without pain. So go to where you can function. So this up and down movements. With my injury, I'm going to try and avoid the mechanism, the direction of the mechanism of injury, which was external rotation. So I'll do kind of inversion, eversion, plantarflexion, dorsiflexion, and just go to where I can without any pain, and think about where the restrictions are, massaging through those points without too much pain, and really trying to get, even circumduction and getting into more and more range every day. So we want to work on this like twice a day. As a podiatrist, the toes are super important. They swelled up so much when this happened, and getting good function of my big toe, all of those tendons attaching in up on the lateral side of the ankle. So my big toe and the function of that is important. I don't think anybody else has ever discussed this in rehabbing the ankle, but my toe function, piano toes, all of that is really important. My stability of how my foot is going to stay on the ground is super important, and that's going to start with the splaying and the plantarflexion of my toes, then going through being able to rise up on the ball of the feet, so getting my calf muscles working again properly, because I've gotten a lot of atrophy, which means muscle wasting on that side of the body. So my knee, around my knee, my quad, really wasted away a lot of muscle, and especially my calves, because I'm not able to push up on my toes. So working from my toes all the way up to the ankle, this is what I'll be looking at right now. And every time when I do exercise, I need to make sure that I ice straight afterwards and elevate to just take away any of that inflammation that may have occurred during my exercise. I'm still trying to do other exercises from the knee up. I've slowed down a lot over Christmas and New Year's and given myself a proper rest, because the gods were telling me to slow down and stop. And that's okay. I gave myself permission to do that, and I'm okay with that. But now I really want to slowly get back in. It's the beginning of the year, it's 2019. I have some goals. Because of my job and what happened, I'm gonna go to America, and I've got dual citizenship, and I haven't been able to make it over there. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go do some more podiatry and put some cash in my pocket before I head over there. But I really want to experience the fitness scene, my culture. I'm half African American, and I want to meet a lot of the inspirational people that have helped me get to where I am today, in sports industry, in the self-development industry. So I am, I'm excited. I'm scared a little bit, but I'm excited too, because my life has changed because of this ankle break. And I asked for a break. I asked for a break from work, and I got a literal break. And then I thought, I can stay here. I can stay in my job, but it wouldn't look the same as before, because I was the head coach. I was running out there with all my clients. I can't run for the next 5 months. I don't know how this injury is gonna go, but there's a lot of other things I can do. So I probably talked a lot. But if you're in the same situation, hopefully some of this, resonates with you, and your job, your health, your rehabilitation of your injury, it's multifaceted. An injury is not just there on its own. And so we have to deal with, the other life consequences of that too, and try and remain positive. So if this has helped, please, write a comment, let me know if you want more information. I will be putting up more videos about my rehabilitation journey, especially to help people in the sports podiatry field, and my clients. So there's a large population of people that this happens to, ankle injuries, ankle fractures, and we all need help. So thanks for tuning in. Press the subscribe button if you want to see more of these, and I will be seeing you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.